Well, Doug, we are back. Welcome back. Welcome everyone.
To our Black Friday episode.
Again. Happened last year. Based on how we record, it will happen every year. But it's our second Black Friday episode. And much like last year's Black Friday, we do not have much to talk about. But all we're going to be talking about on this one is a small update on Grudge Night, which is the show that was meant to debut right after, or right around the same time that everything came out about Ryan and Adam. And Ryan and Alfredo was like the first episode, so we have like a sort of a small update on that, and then more on, or I guess maybe not even more, just an update sort of on, from Jeremy about the whole time the episode that we put out a while ago where he was talking about wanting to leave. So it's gonna be a shorter episode. It's even though Thanksgiving has been canceled, American Thanksgiving, for pretty much across the board, we still have a few small things to do, and we get to kind of rush through this episode a little bit. So it's a good thing we just changed our format and made this shorter, because it'll come in handy right now. But both these things came from Jeremy's stream. I was watching sometime last week or sometime during this week, but the whole Grudge Night thing. Doug's going down already. He's choking and didn't say anything. If you're only listening to this, you're missing the visual of Doug dying in silence on the video end. You all right?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll get started with this. You try to recover. You're making it difficult. So, yeah, Grudge Night, Jeremy talked about on stream. Someone asked him in his chat about like if there's any update, and basically he said that it's going to be very delayed, obviously, but the plan is that it's still coming out. So it's not completely canned or canceled. They just have to rework the entire show. That's a show that, like, I never really got a grasp on what it was.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know anything about it.
That was the one that if you remember, they were taking like classic grudges or arguments that happened throughout Rooster Teeth, and they were supposed to be like settling them somehow. So the one that was, I think, that was supposed to kick everything off was the Salt Raid, which was Alfredo and Ryan. Basically, I mean, it was Ryan versus everybody, which has weirdly come back to now Ryan versus everybody. But
Right.
No, it was supposed to be Alfredo and Ryan were facing off in the first one. They put out some videos that I don't know where they must have went up on the site somewhere, but I just saw like a clip from one, and so I'm not sure like what those videos, like what they were connected to. But Grudge Match was one that or Grudge Night or whatever. I think I always call it Grudge Match. But that's one I never really got a grasp on what the show was or how the whole thing was going to work. But I would assume that there is obviously, like any Achievement Hunter content before everything happened, was heavily with Ryan involved in it. So I think they had to do a lot of editing and probably a lot of just reworking the entire story as a whole, or maybe even reshoot everything again, because when someone's that ingrained in it, it's kind of hard to just move, like, edit around them.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that they're just going to have to redo that episode, however many episodes he was on, with somebody else, or just can those episodes.
Well,
If you said it was Salt Raid?
That's what it's referred to as, yeah.
Right, but
Destiny.
If the Salt Raid is literally just Ryan, so it's like, all right, we're out. We're not doing this one.
Which, I mean, they have to do at this point. They're kind of wiping him from the record entirely.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if this podcast, if for some reason if I had to like remove you from every single episode, it's like I wouldn't just be able to cut around you. we'd have to like have something replace, like you have to have something in place. Like, it would just take a lot of work. But yeah, that was the update that he gave, was just that it's gonna take lots of work to fix it, but the plan is that it's still coming out. So it is not something that has been let go. So for anyone who was looking forward to that, and was, you know, I want to say let down, but I also don't think that many people were let down with the reason why, because I don't think a lot of people wanted to see his face after everything. But yeah, for everyone who was, I guess, disappointed that they couldn't watch that show, and with everything else that happened, you have something to look forward to, because it's still in the works and they just have to figure everything out. But the other thing that he mentioned around that same time was he talked about sort of his mental health, and how earlier this year, which it came up a couple times for us doing the show, he mentioned how his mental health was like at a really, really low spot, and he was having like pretty much the worst time that he's had in either a long time or ever or whatever. But basically, he was just saying how terrible of a time he was having, and that apparently he even texted, like, I think it was Trevor and, I can't remember his name. I can't remember. Someone, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't find it. But he texted both of them saying that he wanted to leave. Like, he was saying he just needs to step away from everything. And that's whenever the episode that we made a couple weeks ago, that still is like pulling in daily downloads now, is like, that's what that whole thing was about, was whenever he said he wanted to take a step back from content. Right. And he went into a little more detail about the joke that kind of kicked everything off, because I don't know if you remember much from that story, but it was all centered around a joke that he had made about something about it. It was during a Golf It video, and I watched it, and nothing even stood out to me. So whenever I heard it was something from that video, I was like, I don't know what they're talking about, like what that's in reference to. But he talked about more of the details surrounding that event, and said, like, it had to do with that there was an Indian flag that, because you can put like different country flags on your ball, and he unlocked an Indian flag, and I think, I forget what the other part of it was, something to do with cows, and he made some sort of joke about cows in India, something like that, and he said immediately, the amount of hate that he got in the backlash, people calling him like racist and telling him how terrible it was. He said it was like a tremendous force that came after him, which was one of the things that really beat him down. And his reasoning for it was, he said, like, his two best friends growing up, they were both Indian, and one never ate any kind of, I don't remember if he said they were like vegan, or if they just never ate actual like beef or, cow products basically, and the other one did. And that was always the joke, like, with the three of them would always make together. It had something to do with, like, whenever one of them would sit down to eat like a burger or whatever, he would just say, "I'm sorry," and then he would start eating it or something like that. It was just like a small joke. And that was like what he was saying, and why that joke even popped into his head. But like I said, I never even, watching the that Golf It video from how long ago, there was nothing that stood out to me that was, when I watched it, that I thought was like inflammatory or was going to get anyone in trouble. So it's like, I don't even remember what the joke was. It was just something of many things said in the video, and I was like, oh, okay, moved on to the next one, and that was it. But he kind of gave more context surrounding that whole thing, which I don't remember what day it was on, but it was his stream. I don't know what today is. What is today? Today is the November 27th of 2020. So it would have been about a week ago, and it was, he played Among Us and Spyro. So if you were interested in hearing his actual, his words and, verbatim what he said, you can watch the VOD of his stream on Twitch, which is what I've been doing a lot this week, to be honest.
The 20th. So you find that video. But it was a week ago, exactly.
I think it was, I want to say it was Friday, because I think it was Friday, and then Sunday he did a stream where they were playing Spyro again, and then he streamed something for like what are the wrestling, like the SummerSlam or whatever it is that happened, that because the Undertaker retired. He was talking about that during the stream that I watched. Oh. But I don't watch wrestling, so I don't, not entirely, I mean, I know who Undertaker is, but
Well, he's been around for, 30 years?
Yeah, he's been wrestling as long as I've been alive. So, yeah, you definitely remember him from the days that I did watch wrestling back when, I don't know when that was, like 6th grade or whatever. But, yeah, but I want to say it was last Friday. So, yeah, it probably would have been the 20th as when that was. But, yeah, he goes on about it, and he talks about that kind of stuff. And I'd say very candidly, and also very, I'm trying to think of what the best description would be. Like, it didn't seem like he was still dealing with it, I guess, the way he was talking about it. He was just like, yeah, that's what happened. And, then this happened. I figured that's probably the best course of action is to do this. And I was in a bad place, but I'm doing better now. Like, he didn't seem like it was this still weight on him. Now. That's not to say it isn't, but I'm just saying it just seemed like he kind of dealt with it and was okay. But yeah, it was I just put a hair on my face doing that, whatever I did.
So now that's not a thing anymore. He doesn't want to leave. It's just, this is a follow-up to that.
Pretty much, or at least that's the way it seemed. I mean, I think the week after we did that episode, he talked about, like he tweeted saying something that he was back on his chill the fuck out pills or something like that. He had something like that, his chill the fuck out meds. So yeah. I think he was kind of got corrected, and he even mentioned something about that on the stream too, like how he's been. I think I want to say he like found it, like he went back to like either therapy or he found a new therapist or something like that. But I don't remember exactly. But yeah, the best thing to do is just, if anyone interested, is to watch the VOD of that, or the VOD, however people say it. And like I said, it's a long stream. I don't have timestamps for anything, but that would be the way
Unprofessional.
Well, I wasn't even prepared to record today. I was making plans for this podcast, kind of trying to figure out how we were going to do this week beforehand, but you ended up getting home early today, so I was very unprepared for this, which is kind of another reason why I don't really have anything beyond those two subjects, because one, it's the week of Thanksgiving here in the U.S., and not much happens, and even though everything's shut down with Corona and all that, it still is a week where not much really goes on. I mean, they've still put up like the daily videos they usually do, but it's not really a big week for announcements or anything else going on. Like I said, all I've been doing is watching streams while I've been playing the different games I've been playing. So I've been watching a lot of Alfredo streams. I was actually watching Michael's stream from 2 nights ago, I think, because he was playing Super Mario 64, and then he switched to playing Pokemon Fire Red. And Michael is just an absolute lunatic, even when he's by himself. So he streamed for like 4. It was like, I think even in the stream, he said it's like 1 a.m, and he just started playing Fire Red. And I was like, he's up in the middle of the night just yelling at people and blaming his chat for everything that goes wrong. And he named his rival in Pokemon Red Fredo. So every time something was happening, he's like, Fredo, shut the hell up! I want to get out of here. And then he just talking about how Fredo's never going to beat him, and he's just talking shit to Fredo, but obviously not the real Fredo, just, I guess, what is his name, Blue in the canon of Pokemon or whatever? Gary?
I said it was Gary, but yeah.
In the show, yeah. But, yeah, I've been watching this because Alfredo's been playing Dark Souls, not Demon Souls, playing Dark Souls 3, and he's never played it, and Dark Souls is a really intense, tough RPG to play, and there's been like his run through Dark Souls so far is ripe for someone to take the whole thing and cut it down to highlights, because there's so many moments where he there was I don't remember what boss it was he was facing, but it was an incredibly difficult boss, and there's a drum beat happening next to me because the dog walked in. But there was an incredibly difficult boss, and you want to be on the podcast? And he was having such a hard time fighting them that he basically was getting killed before he even got their health down to like past 80% of full health. And the one run that he got him down to 1 hit, and then Alfredo died, and I think there was a pause, and then he just started shrieking. He was so devastated by the which I mean I would be too. I'd be furious, but he was just losing his mind. And there was a lot of really funny moments too, where, because he has different like an end card for his stream, and like a stream is starting soon, or a different layout. So like when he's just gets started, it's like broken up to like gameplay footage is here, his webcam's here, and the chat's displayed at the same time, and then he can kind of change it between the different cards. And there's the one time he was fighting these guys on a roof, and he just, I think, or no, I'm sorry, he was trying to get past this one part, and he kept getting killed, and he learned that it was really simple to get past. He just had to get there early enough to kill this, I don't know, like demon creature, like this zombie guy, and he just had to, if he killed that guy first, he wouldn't transform into this big monster that killed him every time. So he's like, oh, that's all I had to do? And it took him a while to get to that point. And he got to the other side, and then he was fighting people, and then he just slipped and just fell off the edge. And all on the perspective that you see is just his webcam, and he's looking at his at the screen like he's frozen. Like it looks like the feed cut out, and he's just frozen there staring at the screen. And then while he's staring at the screen, it just says the stream is ending. It didn't say a word. Just the screen popped up, and it's like it's him playing Dark Souls right now on stream. He's not done with. I think he's oh, that was another time he did that too. Is he was asking how far he was in the game. He's like, I'm probably like 20% of the way through, and people were like, you're probably like 10%, or like this is still very early game. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? I think the first person that said that, he told him to fuck off. He's like, get out of here. Because there's no way I'm that early on, and then the whole chat just filled up with like, this is an early game. This is early game. So he has I think like 3 or 4 streams in it that are, some are, I think the one is like 4 hours long or something, but he has 3 or 4 streams in it. He's at maybe halfway through. So there's a lot there, but I think that's for anyone out there who does the different compilations and stuff to cut down on, or to cut together rather, not cut down, to cut together all that stuff. I think that's one that I hope to see out there, because there's a lot of funny moments, but as is the case with, especially a game like that where there's a lot of grinding, there's a lot of parts that in terms of like a highlight reel would get the axe and just get those parts where he's falling off the roof, and when he does finally beat, a certain boss or whatever. But
how long until your Twitch stream of Dark Souls? Because that sounds like a game you would break your controller to.
I would never play Dark Souls or Demon Souls or any of those. I think the first Dark Souls was on. Well, no, it must have been the free games with gold, because this was way before Game Pass. And I got it then, and I started to play it, and I was just like, this is just not my kind of game. Like, I like games where, like, I don't want to just put a game on like the easiest difficulty and just tear through it, but I want to enjoy myself
right
while I'm getting somewhere.
You don't want to punish yourself for playing a game.
Yeah, like I've been playing the Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and which we talked about on Out in the Grapes, but it's like that game is the combat system and everything, since it's more RPG like, is much different than the previous ones, and I had to adjust to that. So it's like there's still like the combat part I'm way better at than I was before, but it's still a challenge to me, but it's not like impossible. And Dark Souls, I feel like, or any of the Souls games, when I was playing it, I was like, I know this isn't impossible, but I feel like the satisfaction from this comes from trying and trying and trying until you finally get like that perfect run where you get through it. Like that boss he was facing, I was like, there's no way. I would have lost my mind way before this. Like I want to enjoy the ride to that point. I don't want to suffer to then that be the payoff. Right. So absolutely, I would never do that.
But that game for me is always associated with, you're going to suffer. You're going to really like this game. This game's going to destroy you, and then you're going to feel good whenever you get past this part. I was like, I don't want that. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's like a game of perseverance. And, there's certain games that have that, and obviously, like I said, there's challenging elements to anything you play, but for me, I can't do it. That's the little bit I played, I was like, yeah, this is not my style. Like, especially with the combat, like I feel like I have a hard time with combat systems and really learning. Well, especially now, because I played Ghost of Tsushima, Miles Morales, and this all pretty close together, and or Odyssey all close together. And Odyssey, I have to think about it. The evade button in Odyssey is X on Xbox, and like every other, it's like I think Ghost of Tsushima is X on PlayStation, and Miles Morales is circle on PlayStation. So every time someone's about to swing on me, I just end up doing something I don't want to do, and I get hit in the face with an axe or something. It's just like I'm constantly trying to dodge, and I'm just not doing it. It's like I really have to keep this straight because Odyssey's all over the place. But yeah, I commend anyone who is like, I was watching some people that just tear right through the game. It's like, you see the world differently than I do. It's like the way that you are able to go through there is not the capabilities that I have.
I think the one time I watched someone speed run, I think it was Games Done Quick. I don't know who it was on there, but they were starting their speed run just like no armor with Dark Souls, and I was like, I don't know, and they got in my head very far. I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
It's one thing I noticed is they end up just running by a lot of the like NPCs and the different creatures that are in the world. Like they just kind of will sprint by them and then get to the boss, and then they know the way to just like kind of cheese the fight and just be close to them, and that like at a certain range where they can't be hit. And I was like, yeah, I would lose. I'd get so close. I was getting mad at playing Spider-Man because there's a trophy for getting 100 point or 100x combo of hitting enemies, and if you get touched once, sometimes it cancels, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know exactly what cancels it, but basically if you get hit, it restarts it. And there were so many times I had it like 89, like 93, just playing that. And then I looked up to see like the way people recommended to do it, and I think that took me like 2 or 3 tries. But just trying to get up there and not get hit, especially as the enemies get crazier in that game, I was losing my mind. So I was like, yeah, that's that type of gaming is not the gaming I gravitate towards. I like to enjoy myself.
Not my wheelhouse. I'm stuck on a level on Battletoads, so
you get it.
That game has some frustrating elements. I'm like, fuck this.
Well, that's why it's one of the reasons I was interested in watching Fredo play, because I feel like Alfredo, especially being like a high level FPS player, like he understands the sort of analyzing a moment or like something that happened and breaking it down and understanding what he has to do to change that. Because obviously FPS, you're dealing with another human, but still, like, oh, they're going to go through here. I know I need to be at this angle, all that kind of stuff. Like he kind of breaks down and will and find the way to make this, like, make it work and to win. So I was like, I feel like Fredo, I've never seen him play a game like this before. And that's why it's like him playing that. I've just been really interested to see him sort of conquer the different bosses, because like the one boss he was fighting, I was like, I don't think you can beat this guy. Like I was watching, I don't think he loses. I think you just die here forever until you quit. And then he beat him. I was like, I don't even see the path to victory whenever I saw that guy.
But I think me and you need to team up and play some Dark Souls, see how far we get till we break something.
I think eventually I would just go dead in the eyes, and I would just lose the will to live. And I probably would unironically just end the stream midstream, and then I would just walk away and I would never pick it up again. But yeah, it's streams, I feel like, especially like I said, Michael's a lunatic, but the streams they're like a good source of entertainment, especially for like while I'm playing other games to listen to, because it's something that doesn't require you to listen to every single part of it. Like sometimes they're just talking to their chat, or there's a lot of downtime, so like you can kind of tune in and out like freely. And Michael's chat, or Michael's not chat, but his stream rather, I almost feel like it's like Achievement Hunter content, Michael, but just for like 3 or 4 hours. Like he still makes the same jokes, and the fact that he's by himself. I mean, the people in his chat are there, but he's in his house by himself or in his room streaming. It seems to not affect him or phase him at all.
Oh, I remember Bernie saying that on one of the podcasts or something. He's like, you can leave Michael in a room with a microphone, and he'll make hours of content or something like that. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, because he used to do full play, I think is what they always called it, and it was just him. He'd play like Resident Evil, 3 or something, and he'd be by himself, and he'd play the entire game, and it was him just talking to himself. And in that case, he didn't even have a chat. He was literally completely by himself, just talking. And yeah, they did a couple of those. It was like, like a 12-part series or something that they used to do. So like he used to do that kind of stuff all the time. But yeah, it's like there's a certain. I think people see that and they think it's super easy, but there's a certain talent to being able to just to kind of essentially keep talking to yourself. Like,
well, I mean, trying to do this by yourself a couple of times, like it's not easy.
yeah. Oh, well, that's what I was gonna say is, and that was gonna be my plan for doing this podcast this week. Was I would probably just have to do it by myself based on how everything's lining up, because now that we have the video side of it, it kind of adds an extra buffer between when we record to when it can get posted, because I had to get all the files together and everything. So I was planning on doing it by myself, and I was like, well, I don't have a lot to go on, so I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to talk about, but I hope that I have enough that I can just sort of ramble. And I was planning on actually talking about just in general, I guess just to in the like it's like in the vein of just trying to put, I guess, more positive things out there, since a lot of negative things kind of come the way of Rooster Teeth, some self-inflicted, but for the most part, it's just a lot of bad things happen. A lot of people just post, a lot of the videos and stuff that exist out there about Rooster Teeth is usually pretty negative. I was thinking about just going over like what I enjoy about them and why I watch them all the time, and why I started to do this podcast, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was my plan for when I was by myself.
Well, you never texted me once.
No, because I didn't think you'd be home. I did not think we'd be recording today.
Well, here we are, and we're probably at about time, right?
Oh, almost. We have a little bit. We could go a little bit longer here, just a couple more minutes. But yeah, I mean, I think since I was kind of what I was thinking about doing. Yeah, I think one of the things that I enjoy, and this isn't necessarily unique to Rooster Teeth, I would say, but like all the personalities that exist, particularly in Achievement Hunter, probably at this point, once you kind of watch someone long enough, you feel like you develop that familiarity with them, and it's almost like, because I always have to like clarify, and I always try to like make it super clear that the way that this sounds is not what I mean, but like it's almost like seeing like an old friend or something like that, and like you're kind of keeping in touch with a friend. But that's why I say I always feel like I have to clarify, because I don't have like this weird obsession or illusion like, oh, we're best friends if they met, we got together. But it has that same sort of like feeling, like it's like these are people that I know, these are people that make me laugh, and it's just like put them in any scenario, any kind of context, and I know I'm gonna enjoy it. So it's that kind of thing that is always bringing me back to Rooster Teeth, and kind of what keeps me around. Like I said, that's not necessarily exclusive to them, but there's something about their personalities that feel very different than a lot of people that I see out there. I think maybe it's just something to do with them being in a big group, and the fact that they go for content. Because like we were even watching, Renee kind of stumbled upon a couple of people that she was watching on YouTube, and I was just looking at the videos they put up, and it was like, oh, they posted this video, I don't know, like I forget what the time frame was, but like they posted this yesterday, and it has 3 million views, like, and on all they're playing like Among Us, and it's like, it's crazy. Like I'm like kind of fascinated about what it takes for like a personality or whatever to explode on YouTube, because it's like when we were watching, I was like, I don't feel like they're doing anything like special or anything different than what I've seen 100 other people playing Among Us have done. But for some reason, this group of people has attracted millions of people per video. Right. And like they're streaming to almost 200,000 people on YouTube right now. And it's like, I'm fascinated by what that combination is, that, like what that means. But there's something about just people playing and kind of being themselves, and then there's the people like what Achievement Hunter does, where they, in quotes, they go for content, or they're trying to make the content move or the play, and it's like almost, it's like a show and a watching gameplay at the same time. And I feel like that's just something that's while there's a lot of people who do that now, I feel like they are one of the earliest to be doing stuff like that. And I don't know, I do wonder, because so many people have left Rooster Teeth, I do wonder what'll happen if they're down the road, if once a certain number of personalities are gone, or if they're, whatever happens in the future. Right. I do wonder how that'll change for me. But I think the biggest thing for me, why I kind of stick around is all about the people that are in there, like watching Michael stream and Alfredo and stuff like that. I mean, Alfredo's a newer, he's been there for 5 years or something, but he's still a newer addition in terms of, the OG crew. So it's I don't know. I feel like they do a pretty good job of cultivating their on-screen personalities and keeping everyone well, I guess Achievement Hunter, Jeff always said chemistry was his biggest thing, keeping everyone in these groups or these partners that really mesh well together. Jeremy and Matt have started to do. There was a video with the two of them, and it's they've been friends for how long? So it's that's a combination that works really well, and just
right.
finding these different ways to do it. But yeah, that's. I was planning on, like I said, I was planning on kind of doing this probably tomorrow by myself. So this was not something that I put a lot. I didn't think a lot about the subject at hand, but off the top of my head, that's kind of I think why I really gravitate towards them and kind of stick around, because I think it's the people that are there that keep bringing me back, and the things that their creativity, I guess, for the shows and stuff that they come up with. But yeah, I think at this point, we now have places to be. We want to keep these shorter. Was not much to talk about this week in terms of the Rooster Teeth, news part of it, but
right.
So we just had a pretty general discussion about it. I'm hoping next week we will have a couple things to talk about, and I assume that now that Thanksgiving is passed, I'm assuming we will. But until then, we are signing off. I am gonna go eat some turkey and which is I don't know how this started, but the chicken noodles that my mom makes that are our legendary family recipe. Yeah, I don't know how chicken noodles got associated with Christmas and Thanksgiving for our family, but it's my favorite thing. It's what I'm gonna go eat. We're just having a one-on-one dinner with my mom, so got places to be, and I'm gonna go stuff my face, as is the American way, to overeat. So that's what that's what I'm gonna do. So thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you, Doug, for being here for the expedited fast podcast.
We did it.
Yeah, thank you for getting home early. I wasn't prepared to do this, but we did it. So I'm sitting here in my oh, now I'm choking.
Now you're done.
So I'm sitting here in my comfy clothes and was playing Odyssey, and I was I think I had to go record the podcast now, and I basically jumped up to come over to come in here to do this. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And we'll be back next week with hopefully a more fleshed out episode that we have some subjects. We have some stuff to talk about.
Happy belated Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday shopping. Goodbye.
Stay online. That's where everything is.